Okay, B'siyata Dishmaya, we are here in Shara Yichud. We're going to be continuing in Neshama Neshima in this lesson of the resurrection of the living. We talked in the last class about all of the negative effects and the 4 levels of the negative effects of what the Nazis were trying to do in the level of speech, spiritual poison, physical poison, right? All this propaganda. And now we're going to give the answer. The question that we were left off with is, how do we resurrect the Jewish people? 2/3 of the Jewish people, 1/3 of the Jewish people was wiped out in the Holocaust. And we explained that that's like the blood of the Jewish people. The souls of the Jewish people are like the blood. And if a person who on average has 6 liters of blood were to lose 1/3 of that, 2 liters, they wouldn't be able to survive if they lost that in a few moments, right? So where's the hope to have a resurrection of the living? And not just to be another country like all the other countries, some democratic country. No, to revive the Jewish people, to revive the actual Israelites, the Jewish people, to do their job and to bring Hashem awareness to the world. So there's a principle that we have in the way that the world is ruled, and it's called Zelu Madzeh Asai Elohim. This, in correspondence to this, made Hashem. Hashem makes balance in the world. Whenever there's something in positivity, there's the same energy in negativity, and vice versa, right? You had Moshe, you had Bilam. You had Abraham, you had Nimrod. You had Yaakov, you had Esav. Yitzchak, Ishmael. The world is always in balance, always in balance. So that there should be an option for free will in the world. Anything in the world that's negative, that's destructive, like tziclon, like zyklon, right? Like these gases, these satanic tools of destruction, so too there is this similar idea in the parallel on the positive side. Therefore, what nullifies the nation what's the fastest way to nullify the nation that carries that carries consciousness, right? Like we said, Hitler's problem is that we brought consciousness into the world and worrying about others. How do you destroy them the fastest way? Ruach ra'ah, bad spirits, bad energy, bad air, bad breath. Sirachon mav'ish reach v'le'efech ma'achi mo'il la'chayot behem nefesh kol chai. Right? If nasty smells and horrible fumes are how you kill that people, so what could revive them? What could resurrect them? What is the most powerful thing to revive the auspicious, precious nation that is the Jewish people? Avir tahor, pure air. And that kind of air also can be broken down to 4 different aspects. 1, physical. Avir naki mikol ral. Clear air that's just clean of all pollution, of any poison. Neshima eranit, in an awakened breathing. Akratit v'organit, conscious breathing, organic breathing. תוך כדי דחייה חד משמעית מכל זיהומים, עשנים מפויחים. While pushing away all of the pollution, the smokes, and the soot, and the coal. הלא יעלה מספר הרוגי נשימת הטבק כמספר הרוגי מלחמת העולם השנייה מאז שנגמרה. The amount of people that have died from tobacco is equal to the amount of people that died in World War II since it ended. Right, so you see that the poison is real. לנשום נשימות עמוקות בצורה עקבית, to take nice deep breaths in a consistent manner, רק בלי לחץ ובלי מאמץ. without any stress, withoad any extra effort, with as much attention as possible, with as much focus as possible, until that natural physical habit becomes the natural way you breathe. Right? Deep breaths. To physically train yourself to take deeper, more consistent breaths. This is what's called a breathing of awareness that's most desired. המשכינה אט-אט את חשיבות הרוח בחיי האדם שמשפרת אצלו את metabolism. When you breathe in this way, in a consistently deep way, slowly but surely, it's going to teach you the importance of ruach, of breath, of air, of wind, of spirit in your life, and that will improve your metabolism. Simple physical breathing. Second, emotional. להיפתח לאווירה חברתית ידידותית. To develop, to progress into an avira, a vibe, a surrounding that is friendly and welcoming. אף חגיגית, אך נטולת דיבה ושאר פגמי הדיבור. It could even be celebratory and like fun and like bubbly, but completely removed from all negative speech and blemishes of speech, talking bad about other people. Right? We can have fun. It doesn't have to be on the account of any other person, making fun of anybody else. להימנע מביקורתיות שיטתית, אויבתם של החינוך והנוער. Prevent yourself from giving consistent criticism, right? Having an approach of always trying to criticize, which is the enemy of education and of kids, of teenagers. וכן להתרחק כמה שאפשר מנישום תקשורתי. Also try to distance yourself as much as possible from breathing in media and communication, meaning right, the news and TV and etc. etc. כמה שריחו נודף בחן של שקר. Even though all of that world is fragrant so well with the lies of vanity, right? It's so attractive to watch TV, to watch a movie, to watch a show, whatever it is, right? Instead of doing something else that could be more constructive, but you're breathing in that nonsense. לגבי המוזיקה הבלתי נפרדת מהרוח, קצב המניע אותה. When it comes to music, that you can never detach music from ruach, from your emotions, how you feel, and the energy and the vibe around you. Music's an integral part of that. אין כניגון קשה לעורר טהרה ושמחה. There's nothing like a pure nigun to arouse a sense of purity around a person and joy. ואפילו דבקות, and even to get to דבקות, to get to a sense of being attached to Hashem. על המנגן הקשה לחפש את רוחו. The kosher musician has to seek inside of his own spirit את האימפולס הנכון שעל ידו ירים את לבבות מאזיניו. He has to seek inside himself. Where's the impulse? Where's the beat, right? That's going to arouse those that are listening to my music. That's how a kosher person, right? Where inside of me do I have this beat, this inner beat inside of me that I can bring out to arouse the people that are going to listen to me? This was a big part of the Hasidic revolution that's been happening in the world, right, in the past 30, 40 years. But a big part of it is music. This is David HaMelech's words, right? This is the Torah of David HaMelech that is hinted to in Tehillim when he says, Zmirot hayuli chukecha. Songs, for me, were like your Torah. From a song, I can get to a deep, deep place that Torah brings me, to Dvekut, to connection to Hashem. שאף על פי שהוקע לאמרה זו, בוודאי שאם היא מוזכרת, יתהפך הכל לטובה. David HaMelech was, so to say, rebuked and told off for this pasuk, right? But if it's mentioned, it's there. So that teaches us that in the end it's going to flip to good, right? That there is something in song that really it is on that level. שהיא כל כולה מוזיקלית, היות ועניינו היה השגת רוח הקודש ברמה אוניברסלית. The whole entire idea of music is to help people to get to a level of godliness, right? And to Ruach HaKodesh, the godly divine spirit, by way of on a universal level, by way of music, right? That was the whole goal. To open the hearts of the whole entire world to come connect to Hashem. אגב, לא היה דור ראוי ללמוד מאויביו הרבים כפי שביקש, אם לא שהייתה לו מידה שתיקה ברמה מוחלטת. שתיקתו שימשה לו כסייג ומשמר לחוכמתו. ואי לאיש שלא סותם את פיו בשעת מריבה, ומהר יהפוך כאחד האויבים שלו, שאז אין סיכוי שיחכה ממנו. Part of learning from your enemies, which is what we're trying to figure out in this teaching, right? The past class and this class, how can you learn from your enemy? From my enemies, I get wisdom. How do you get that? You have to be able to be quiet. Being quiet is a fence, is a guard, is a protector for your wisdom. And oy to the person who doesn't shut his mouth at the time of a fight. Very quickly, he will flip to become like one of his enemies, and then there's no chance to ever learn from them, meaning to learn from their bad ways what to do right. You just become like them. You open your mouth, you want to fight with a person back and forth. So then essentially what are you doing? You're going to their level. You're never ever going to be able to stand across from them, opposing them, and learn from their mistakes and then not make them and essentially come out of the problem, right? Overcome their oppression. So that's on the level of emotion. Now we have the level of intellect. למלא את הראייה הרוחנית שלו בדברי רוח אמיתיים. To fill up your spiritual lungs with דברי רוח אמיתיים, with words of spirituality, words of spirit that are true words. ספרן של צדיקים, the books of tzadikim, בניגלה ונסתר. In the revealed Torah, in the hidden Torah, fill up your spiritual lungs. Rav Nachman compares the lungs to the Torah. He says there's 5 wings of the lung and there's 5 books of the Torah. And the tikkun for the lungs is Shavuot, which is the holiday of the giving of the Torah. So there's a connection. להרבות באמירות טהורות כי מהן מוצא רוח הקודש. Increase how much purity you speak. All the words that you say should be closer to purity, more pure, more about positive things. And that is where you're going to find Ruach HaKodesh. Divine providence in this deep 1/60th level of prophecy. And be careful of words that carry with them a foreign spirit. Like they tell about the Baal HaTanya, the founder of the Chabad movement, he didn't let them read he would forbid his students from reading any book that wasn't written in Ruach HaKodesh. Meaning there's even Torah books that you don't learn, according to the Baal HaTanya. It's okay, the topics about Torah, it's great. The guy's making a summary of different halachot to this, okay, but that's not Shulchan Aruch. That's not Likutei Moran, that's not Tanya. That's not Baal Shem Tov. There's Torah and there's Torah. His students, the Baal HaTanya students, they're on a level that they had to protect themselves so much that they could only read books that were written in Ruach HaKodesh. From high level tzaddikim, that the information is beyond any human being. Less than that, there's already a question here. Whose information is it? הנושם טוב מודע היטב לכך שעיקר חוכמה לא מגיע מהשכלה אנושית הגיונית, אלא יורדת היא בהשראה מלמעלה. Person who knows how to breathe well And he's very aware that the main aspect of wisdom doesn't come from human understanding and human education and logic. Rather, it comes as a presence, as a dwelling, as a light that comes from up above. And it gets wrapped in a garment that is the breath of your mouth. And what's the proof to this? Chazal say, the rabbis say, who has the best breath in the world? Who has the purest breath in the whole entire world? Little Jewish babies that are learning Torah. What do you think they understand what they're saying? They understand the psukim that they're really saying. A 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid knows what Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, really actually means. בקושי. אלא שעצם העובדה שהם מוציאי הבל טהור בפיהם, יש בזה כוח כדי להציל את כל העולם. Just the fact that they are bringing out pure breath from their mouth has the ability to save the whole entire world. They don't understand what they're saying, but they're adding purity to the world. They're adding psukim, they're adding unity to the world. Don't have any idea what they're saying. They don't really get what they're saying. על מיליון הילדים שנשחטו באושוויץ ובמחנות אני בוכייה במר נפש. On the millions of kids that were killed in Auschwitz and all the other camps, death camps, we're crying a bitter, bitter cry from the soul. והגיע הזמן למהפך רציני שיחיה ויקיים את הדור הבא לתחייה רוחנית. The time has come for a deep, real revolution that will prepare the next generation for a spiritual resurrection. על ידי שיקום הבל פיהם הטהור, by way of rising and raising up this pure breath that they have, putting more importance on it, getting more Jewish kids into Jewish schools, saying psukim with their pure, untainted mind and untainted breath, untainted body that hasn't done any sins. A pure, pure being, a Jewish kid that can bring in to the world by opening his mouth and singing praises to Hashem. Just purity in the world that keeps the whole entire world established. So that was the level of intellect of how we fix this. Alright, so what did we say so far? Just to give a summary so we can keep going. The first level was physical. Physical, breathe good air that's not polluted. Learn how to breathe properly, right? Learn how to breathe consistently. That's the first step of how we resurrect the Jewish people. Right? Second step, emotionally. We have to get better friends. We have to develop better surroundings. We can't talk about anybody badly. We can't speak Lashon Hara. We have to listen to good music, kosher music that arouses us to serve Hashem. That brings us to a higher level, a David HaMelech level that says that Zmirot Hayuli Chukecha, songs for me are like your Torah. Right? And we have to, the only way we could learn from our enemies is by being quiet, by not talking, by not getting angry, right? That's the emotional level. Not fighting and raising our voice when we're in a disagreement, but being quiet and learning from the mistakes that are being made right in front of my face by the person that is raising their voice. Not answering back, not fighting. Learning how to be quiet, to guard your wisdom, to guard your connection, to guard your bitul to Hashem. And we said on the level of intellect, it's to fill up your spiritual lungs with pure words of truth and spirituality, the books of tzaddikim, the revealed Torah, the hidden Torah. Right? To not read books, even if they're written by people that keep Torah and mitzvot and they write about Torah, but not necessarily. Sometimes you have to read every book. Not every topic is fitting. Not everything is relevant. Not everybody that wrote something is meant. You have to connect to it. You have to read it. Guard yourself as much as you can to the truth that you know to be true in Hashem, in your way of connection with Hashem. And if maybe there's Reb Nachman talked about this a lot. He said there's tzaddikim that wrote books that they weren't for everybody. The classic example is the Guide of the Perplexed from the Rambam. It's a book that Reb Nachman said, all right, you shouldn't read. Why? It was a guide for the perplexed. If you're not perplexed, why do you need a guide? To get unperplexed. Stay with your simple emunah and serve Hashem. Why are you trying to get perplexed and going to places where you're not? That was written for philosophers at a certain time that were trying to deny Hashem. You believe in Hashem. What are you doing reading that book? Is it a kosher book? Yes. Is the Rambam one of the biggest tzaddikim to ever live in the history of the world? Yes. Or are you meant to read that book? No. Not necessarily. Right? So not every book needs to be read. And then we get to, and we learned also that children, right, that they're the most pure. Without knowledge, just by them reading and saying praises and praying, they keep the whole entire world in existence without knowing what they're saying really. And now we get to spirituality, the spiritual level. To connect to the godly spirit that is floating above the face of the water. And the face of the water is a hint to the lungs. And not to separate yourself from it in any shape or fashion. And if it appears that you got lost, know that nothing is ever lost, ever in the world. Nothing will ever be lost. You lose its place, you lose its reality for a moment. Therefore, all that's needed is to seek out a connection to Hashem. Not necessarily by way of contemplation, just pure meditation in the mind, more by way of deep awareness when inhaling. That will make known to you how close Hashem is to you. Not in a theoretical way, rather with a sensed, a tangible knowledge. Right? Meditation is beautiful, but sometimes it stays just in the head. When you're breathing, you start to feel Hashem. You start to feel, no, Hashem is here with me. This is how we connect beautifully the four different lines that are in the air in the most wonderful way. A person who breathes pure air with intention is able to, one, to merit to bring health to his body and to be saved from many different diseases, stress, including lung infections and lung diseases, and also spiritual diseases like stress and infantilism, being like a child, right? I mean, immature. עובדה שהשמחה שנמצאת ברוח המונשם מרפאת את הגוף מכל המחלות, כולל דיכאון ותשישות כרוניים. The fact is that the joy that's found inside the spirit, the emotions of a person that breathes properly, it heals him from all the different diseases, whether we're talking about depression or chronic fatigue, all these different things that a person could be going through. So that's the first thing. A person who breathes properly, proper air in the right way, and surrounds themselves in purity, emotionally and intellectually, and connects their simple breath to godliness, one, merits to, thank you very much, to actually heal themselves. Two, to be saved from the blemish of confusion of speech. Being conscious of your breathing makes you more conscious of what's going in and out of your mouth. So now when you open your mouth to talk, right, we talked about this in a previous chapter, when you open up your mouth to talk, you're much more aware of the words and the breath, because that breath is so powerful. Right? Every Lashon Hara, what did he say? Every Lashon Hara is 1.5 liters, I think he said. Every time you speak Lashon Hara, you're using 1.5 liters of pure air that Hashem gave to you to connect to Him. You're using it for negative, to speak against another Jew, who's a letter in the Torah, which is the name of Hashem, which is the expression of Hashem. Crazy thing to do. We all have to work on our Lashon Hara, right? But it guards you from this. You're very conscious and aware of everything that's coming out of your mouth. So then you want to distance yourself from speaking so freely and speaking so quickly in an automatic way, right? Your mouth is just on autopilot. It says whatever it wants. And you're not interested in this toxic, poisonous speech. You want to stay in your sweet little bubble. Why would I want to go into a toxic place with my mouth? Let me stay in my purity. On top of that, ההשראה שמביאה לנו הנשימה הנכונה מבטלת את המוחין המצומצמים שיהיו דנים תמיד לכף חובה. Breathing properly redeems you from all of the dinim that you have in your mochin, all of the judgments and the bad thoughts that you have in your mind that are always trying to judge you and put you on the side of obligation. You're wrong, you're messed up, you have to fix, you have to be better. All those voices in your head, right, those are dinim in the mochin, those are constrictions in your mind that are bringing you to a place of weakness, right? When you breathe, you start to add air to your brain physically, which allows you to have expansion of the mind, which will allow you to see beyond just that constricted mindset that's telling you you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not pure enough, right? Your brain starts to breathe, you start to get more air in there, it's ventilated, and now you can feel another ruach coming by, you can feel a different message coming by, right? The chesed that's inside your mochin, not just the gvurot. And when you have that deen, when you have that constriction of the mind, that's the gateway for gossip about yourself and about others, right? Now all of a sudden you don't see the bigger picture that everyone's just a soul, everyone's a chelek Elohim Mamah, that everyone's revealing Hashem. You start to have a constricted mind, so then I'm a loser and that person's also a loser, and I failed and they also failed, right? Now everyone's free game. We can all talk because we're human beings again. We're not godly souls, and that's wrong. ועכשיו פתאום מתעוררת אצלו חמלה, לפעמים אפילו אהבה למי שפעם היה שונא אותו. Now you get filled with love and with compassion, and you can even start to love and have mercy on someone that once you hated. Because in your mind is constricted, you weren't breathing properly. And now you develop it. That's one thing you could also get from breathing properly. Third thing, בונה לעצמו כלים שכליים נפלאים כדי להשיג דעת. You build for yourself amazing, wonderful tools to build your consciousness. הרבה מעבר ליכולתו הרגילה. Much more than you would be able to naturally at your natural capacity. When you start to breathe better with consciousness, with connection to Hashem, you're inhaling godliness and exhaling all of the things that are preventing you from feeling that and connecting more, you start to understand more on a much higher level than you would have been able to do yourself. Like Reb Nachman says, כי עיקר המוח והדעת על ידי הנשימה. Reb Nachman says in Likutei Moharan, in the second book, in the 8th teaching, that the main aspect of the moach, of the brain, and the da'at, the consciousness of how to live in this world, is by way of breathing. וממילא זוכה להימלט מהחוכמולוגיה הנאורה ומנפיחות רוח גאה שבה. And then you get saved from all of this, right? Being a super wise and understanding everything and trying to, right, get everything, this illuminated mindset from the new progressive world that tries to make everything fit into a box and give a title to it and understand everything. From this pride, this egotistical way of living. נכון שהוא שמח להיות נבחר כדי לשרת את אחיו, אך אינו משוויץ על פריבילגיה זו, פן יתאבד ממנו, בזכות הענווה נהיה חכם אמיתי. It's true. You're happy that you were chosen to serve your brothers, but don't go brag about it so you don't lose that privilege. And by way of the humility, then you'll get to real wisdom. Get to real wisdom. We're here for a job. We have a job, right? But don't start to brag about it because you might just lose it. You might lose focus. Fourth thing a person gets when they breathe properly, כשאדם מתפלסף כלפי שמיה, הוא מעיין בנושא דת או בצורה שגרתית, חיצונית, פוליטית, הרי הוא כזר כלפי העליון. When a person has philosophical ideas and questions against heaven, against the Shamayim, against Hashem, or he looks into ideas of Torah and spirituality and Judaism in a typical political, external, academic way, so then you're like a foreigner looking at spirituality. You're like a foreigner looking up to the heavens, trying to understand it, trying to bring it down. It's like over there and I'm trying to grasp it. So too, a person who breathes secular air, without recognizing that it's connected up above, ממושמע ככל שיהיה, לא גדלה בינתו מזאת של חיית הבר. אז יהיה האיש המתעמל, ממושמע ככל שיהיה, לא גדלה בינתו מזאת של חיית הבר. A person like this who puts, if you breathe, you do all of this, and you have questions on Shemayim, you have questions on heaven, and all of the work you do to try to understand, no matter how much you understand and no matter how much discipline you have, your understanding has not grown any more than a wild animal. If you approach spirituality in an external way, you don't get it. You're no different than the animal. You guys still understand it on the same level. Right? It's not about that. When you understand that it's the soul of Hashem that brings you understanding, so then your understanding will be according to your breathing. Nishmat Shaddai Tevinam. The soul of Hashem, of Shakai, will bring understanding, but Nishmat, Neshima, breathing in Shakai, breathing in Hashem and His lights, will bring you understanding. And then your understanding goes according to your breathing. When you understand that your breathing is tapping into godliness, so then your understanding of godliness goes according to how you breathe. Friendly reminder to take a nice deep breath. When you personally are aware of the godliness that's going through you and through your nostrils at any given moment, so then there's no chance that it opens up the gates for you becoming a foreigner or a heretic or an apikoros or someone that's from outside to the heavens. You're part of it. You're breathing it. You feel it. You're conscious of it. Even more so, you won't become one of these small little mazikim, these demons of destruction that are out there screaming against consciousness and against religion and against morality. What's the rectification in this? To really have a resurrection of the dead, in order to resurrect the victims of the destruction, it's to prevent yourself from negative speech and to increase positive speech, like we learned from Rabbeinu. Nachman says, holy speech, speaking of Torah, of prayer, of connection, of yirat shamayim, of awe of Hashem, hu yakar v'gvoa me'od, is precious and very, very high, very lofty. Holy speech is the aspect of the Shekhinah, which is the aspect of the revelation of the kingship of Hashem and His emunah, His loyalty, and His faith. This is the aspect of the spirit of Mashiach, the Messiah. The aspect of Ruach HaKodesh, divine providence, right? Divine inspiration, sense of prophecy, and resurrection of the dead. The aspect of unifying Kadosh Baruch Hu and Shechinte, which is the idea of the lights before creation, before limitation, the Ein Sof, with what we see here in this world, with the revelation. All of that is holy speech. When a person, us, flesh and blood and bones, dirt, when we use the soul that allows us to speak positive things connected to Torah, Tefillah, and Avodat Hashem and Yirat Shamayim, we're unifying all the worlds. We're making the ultimate unification possible. Now we have to go back. Mitzvotecha, the rest of the pasuk, right? For my enemies I will be wise. Mitzvotecha ki leolam hi li. Up until now, all we've dealt with from this pasuk is two words. For my enemies I will become wise. But the rest of the pasuk is mitzvotecha, your mitzvot, your commandments, ki leolam hi li. Because for eternally they're for me. So now we have a question. What mitzvah are we talking about when we say ki leolam hi li? He is she. It's one. It's an individual. Mitzvotecha, your mitzvot, plural. Ki leolam hi li. Because for eternity, she is for me, meaning one mitzvah, one individual mitzvah. What's that one mitzvah that we're talking about, that it's eternally for me? What would allow me to become wise and not to become foolish from my enemies? To learn from my enemies and not to fall into their trap, to become like them. It's known the principle that every single breath, even if you're not aware of it, doesn't stop as long as you're alive. Your body will always breathe. Whether you decide to breathe or not, your body will breathe. Your brain has you breathing on autopilot, right? But whoever breathes with consciousness and with consistency, meaning they control their breath, they tell their body how to breathe, even for a few minutes every day, it becomes much easier for them to remember in their spirit and remember that they're connected, they have a soul, especially at the time of need. And that's a constant mitzvah. That's a constant mitzvah. Mitzvah Neshima ha'akeratit ne'emar ba uvacharta b'chaim. This is a constant mitzvah, and it's mentioned when it says b'charta b'chaim. Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, you shall pick life. Shim lo b'charta ba'avir ketzat techiyah. Because if you don't choose to breathe, how are you going to live? If you're not choosing to breathe, you're just on autopilot, are you choosing to live? This is what we have to do, this is what we have to apply in order to physically be alive. We'll continue to live in a moral sense. We won't give in to any enemy. There is no Shoah, there is no Holocaust. Yeush is Gematria Holocaust, is Shoah. En Yeush. There is none. We're not going to give in to you. You didn't manage to do it. You didn't wipe us all out. And if we do fall, if we do fall, we get up immediately by way of the Ruach, the Spirit that we're breathing in all times. צירופי שמות הקודש המתחלפים בכל שנייה מתלבשים בתאי האוויר החדשים גם הם לגמרי. At any given moment, there's different names and permutations of Hashem names coming down, and that's all in the air that we're breathing. That too, whenever you're inhaling, you're bringing down the air of that moment, which is different revelations of Hashem at that moment, different Yud-Kei Vav-Kis that are coming down. And that gives a person tons of hope for everybody. This gives me the ability, I know I'm able to change. From all of this, what do we gain from it? Dat, consciousness. Dat elyon, even we can get to a level where we can, so to say, tap into understanding how it looks from up above down. But it's all one. To separate ourselves from all of the people, the wicked people that deny the truth and deny God, and they're allergic, so to say, to feelings of blame, feelings of guilt, of that I'm wrong. אנחנו יודעים ועדים שהייתה שואה איומה ועד לה הבחור המרדן הנ"ל. We know that there was a Shoah. We know that there was a Holocaust. We know that there was this evil in this world. And what's the proof? This kid that we started the story with, this kid that was rebellion, that he grew up was raised as a goy. He found out he was Jewish, and he found out what the Nazis did, and he wanted to rebel. Rav Bezinson met this kid, right? He's bringing a proof like that. Actually, he lo pa'ala et magamata ki oto bachur v'chaverav adayin kayimim. But it didn't work because that kid is still alive. He still exists. The person's still there. La'avi yehush la'am Hashem ki rotzon micholelaya am Yisrael chai. You want to bring destruction, you want to annihilate the Jewish people, the Hashem's nation? Am Yisrael chai. We say the opposite. Am Yisrael is alive. The nation of Israel is alive. That's our slogan. You can't kill us. You can't do it. We're always going to get up. על האיש המודע מוטלת החובה להודיע, לעודד ולפרסם לכולם. A person who becomes aware of the power of breath and has heard something like this. If you're this far in this video, it's 41 minutes into learning, right? So then you have to make it known to everybody. לתרגל נשימות בריאות. Start to practice healthy breathing. קדושות ונפלאות מרוב פשוטותן. Holy, wonderful breath because they're so simple. Breathing is so simple that makes it so holy. הנשימות הללו יקרבו את בעליהן להבראה הכי בטוחה. This kind of breathing will bring the breather to health, to levels of healing on a level of certainty. הן ישמרו את נפשו לעד, they will guard your soul for eternity. בזכות המודעות שתתפתח דרכן, by way of the consciousness and the awareness that will develop by way of these breaths. משגיאות הלשון ומן הנגע הנובע משם, from mistakes of the tongue and all of the blemishes that could come out of that. שאז יהיה רודף שלום, because then you're going to become a person that's seeking out peace, that's chasing after peace. רודף ללא חמלה על כל נדנות של חידות ומחלוקת. Ayin, you are chasing after peace without having any mercy, any love, any compassion for any negative speech, anything bad about another Jew. וגם עלינו ללמוד למודחים ונקים היכן נמצא אלוהים בצורה הכי קרובה אליך. We also have to teach to all those people that are pushed away, that they feel dochak, they feel stressed, they feel pushed away, they feel negated, they feel rejected. Those that are choking out there and they're just seeking out air, we have to teach them how close Hashem is to them. He's in your nostrils. Hashem is in your nostrils. It's right there. It couldn't get any closer. Get your nose used to breathing well. Then you're going to feel your God presence right there with you and loving you. Is it for nothing that we called it Ruach Hapenu Mashiach Hashem? The spirit of our nose, this air in our nose, it's Mashiach Hashem. That is the Mashiach. That is the Mashiach of Hashem. That is the light that's coming. Ruach Elohim dar rucha de Mashiach. Ruach Elohim merechefet al pnei hamayim. Right? The godly spirit is floating on top of the waters in the story of creation. First 3 verses. The Zohar says, what is that? Ruach de Mashiach. This is the spirit of the Mashiach. That's that hope. That's that light of the end of the tunnel. That is the connection that you're seeking. That is the presence that you want. ייתכן שזה מה שיפרסם מלך משיח בבואו מהרה להחיות את האומה. Could it be that this is what the Mashiach is going to say at the end of the days when he comes to revive the nation? My precious brothers and sisters, breathe deeply and live. My brothers, my sisters, I love you so much. Stop speaking Lashon Hara. Stop polluting the world with your tongue. My precious brothers, cling to the soul and to the spirit of Hashem. Vine, here it is. מהבחור המורד שנהיה ברסלב. Who is that rebellion kid that became a Breslover? It's for Bezinson. Maybe. That's the learning for today. V'zat Hashem. V'zat Hashem Yitbarach. May we learn how to breathe properly on all 4 levels. To rectify and to resurrect the dead and the living. Those outside of us and those inside of us. V'zat Hashem.